Are gems to grow your faith. This morning, in the whole series, find your faith and grow it. Find your faith and grow it. I'm going to give you the text to talk, the takeaway. The text to talk, a takeaway. And the text this morning is Genesis 12:1. Genesis 12:1. This is God talking to Moses. Now, let me put this in context before I read the text. You're familiar with this text, but what you may not be familiar with is the context of the text. The context of the text is this. It is in the wake. It is right after the flood. Right after the flood. And the voice of God is not that clear. He has just established the nations in Genesis 10. He's now took down the Tower of Babylon in Genesis 11. Now God begins to speak to Abraham. Oh my God, how do we even know his voice, let alone follow what he's saying? So when the biblical writer gives us Genesis 12, he is telling us something that is completely phenomenal. It is out of this world. It is so different because God has destroyed it, 8, 9. He then puts it back together in 10. He then takes down the ability to communicate in 11 with each other. Now 12, he talks. Genesis 12:1, he says, now leave, talking to Abraham, leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's household, and go to a land that I will show you. Leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's household, and go to a land that I will show you. In other words, go find some faith, Abraham. And how do you grow it? There's 3 things I want to share about this text. The first thing, in order to find your faith and grow it, you got to leave your surroundings. You got to leave everything with no MapQuest, old school, OG, or no GPS today. That there is, think about it. I remember when I was in the military and when First Lady and I and the kids would go from one state or city and state to the next, or even to a whole nother country. There was no GPS or anything like that. What you had was a map. So you pull that map out. When I was in Germany, we used MapQuest. And so you pull that out. I'm in a place I've never been before. And you're telling me to go somewhere without a map, GPS, MapQuest, and that's what God is saying to Abraham. And in order for us to grow our faith, you got to be willing to leave everything without anything other than the voice of God. The second thing is this. Don't loiter when you leave. Don't loiter when you leave. You know, that old saying, when, I grew up and they said, don't loiter on the grounds. School is over, go home. Or don't be loitering around the corner, go home. Well, Abraham didn't do that. Told him to leave everybody. And what did he do in verse 4? He brought Lot. Hey, Lot is loitering, man. Get rid of this dude. We told you that we did not want anybody to go with you. Leave them so you can grow your faith. Find it and grow it. But he made that mistake. Don't you make that mistake. When you hear his voice, carry it out clearly. The third thing is leverage. Leverage the presence of God. Look in verse 7. If you look in verse 7, you will find in chapter 12 of Genesis, here is Abraham. When he takes off, even though he makes the mistake of bringing along with Lot when he was told to leave his country, his people, his daddy's household, what he does is he builds an altar. He builds the altar because there he is in the presence of God. When you are finding your faith, you need to find the presence of God. Whenever throughout the Old Testament, in particular in the book of Genesis, when they built an altar, it was an opportunity, it was a time to worship, to be in the presence of God. When you are finding your faith and growing it, no matter the situation, you need to find the presence of God and leverage it that you might hear what God is saying. So leave, don't loiter, leverage the presence of God. What's your takeaway this morning? When you are finding your faith and growing it, listen, here it is. You find faith when you leave the familiar. You find more faith and grow your faith when you leave the familiar. Don't keep hanging around familiar and think that's going to build and grow your faith. Step out into the unfamiliar and watch God grow your faith. The Lord be with you today. His face shine upon you and give you peace. We're going to be dealing with faith all week long. And who wants to grow their faith? I know I do, because it's the only way I can please God. Share the manna. Don't keep it to yourself. Glad to be back. See you tomorrow morning with more Morning Manna. Bye now.